things been happening like this. You hardly can't keep up. The tariffs took another twist yesterday with a sudden 90-day pause on all reciprocal tariffs, except for China. Now, markets shot up to record levels, but are falling again this morning. Now, the White House is saying this is a brilliant strategic move that was the plan the whole time. But it sure seemed to catch his trade representative by shock, really. But they wrote surprise, but he seemed shocked to me during a White House hearing. Take a look.
Are you aware that the tariffs have been paused?
I am, yes.
When were you made aware of that?
Well, I understood the decision was made a few minutes ago. It's something
Sitting here.
been under discussion.
Sitting here, under discussion. So did you know that this was under discussion, and why did you not include that as part of your opening remarks?
So typically what I don't do is divulge the contents of my discussions. I haven't spoken to the president since I've been in this
So the trade
hearing.
representative hasn't spoken to the President of the United States about a global reordering of trade.
Yes, I have. I've
And
just
yet
been in the hearing with you, sir.
But yet he announced it on a tweet? Who's in charge? If it was always the plan, how is this not market manipulation?
It's not market manipulation, sir.
Well, then what is it? Because it sure is not a strategy.
Yeah.
Well, you know. You got to know more information when you're sitting in front of these guys. They're not playing on either side. When they ask you a question, you should have the information.
And you should be forthcoming and honest about it.
Well, you know what? He wanted to keep his confidence with the president.
Yeah.
Let's give him that.
I got to tell you, I think what's fascinating to me is that the corruption is just completely out in the open at this point, you know, because these kinds of actions where Trump tweeted out before this little pause, he said, this is a great time to buy. And that's really a whistle to those billionaires that can, or people that have money that can buy low and then the stock market prices go up. That's generally called insider trading, and that would ordinarily trigger an investigation by the Securities and Exchange Commission. We know now that that's not probably going to happen because all of these government agencies have been, you know, destroyed and dismantled. But someone with knowledge of an economic policy change that would cause the markets to shoot back up right before posting about how great a time it is to buy right before the policy change happened, would certainly be guilty of insider trading in my
Well, let's see if somebody brings it to a court and says, hey, what about this?
I don't know that I assign that much strategy to it, just to be honest, because people who lost money, the wealthiest among us, even if they bought the dip, they still have less money today than they did before he sparked the trade war.
But they gained 70% more.
Not than where the market was before. Yeah,
exactly.
It's still a deficit
back.
on before the trade war even began,
Yeah.
which is, I think, why some of his loudest supporters, Elon Musk, Bill Ackman, were basically begging for this 90-day pause.
They want their money back.
And I think that what happened, sure, he did hear from world leaders. The EU came out and openly said we need to have some negotiations. But I think he heard from the business community, who largely were behind him in his re-election. The stock market had record gains after he was elected in 2024. And then we've lost all of those gains since he's in the few months he's been in office. Jamie Dimon went on Fox News and basically encouraged that there be some kind of a pause. And just a matter of hours later, he decided to heed that. So I see it as him listening to the business community that put him in office. But what happens in the next 90 days is critical. Is it that we negotiate some smart trade deals that box out China and expand relationships with our allies? Or is it merely a pause and we're in the same sort of roller coaster?
Well, they need to infuse some money into the manufacturing they're wanting to do in this country because they're creating one problem and saying, no, let's bring it all home for the American workers. I haven't heard one plan about how they're going to build all this manufacturing.
Well, it takes 3 to 5 years to do that in billions of dollars.
Exactly.
We don't have the time. On everything, nothing's going to come
Agreed,
this way.
but it'd be nice if they were talking about recognizing what this issue was, because 90 days is not even a minute in this kind of thing. But he definitely did not plan this. I'm going to second Alyssa in that there was no strategy here. What happened was he was trying to go hard, and one by one he lost everyone. He even had people like Orrin Cass, who's a pro-tariff economist, write an op-ed the other day that said, okay, well, this could still work, but here are some warnings. And then like all the millionaires dropped, all the congressional Republicans, because remember, as much as Donald Trump talks about, I could run for a third term, these people have to run again. All of these senators, all of these congresspeople recognize that their boss for the first time is not Donald Trump. It's going to be those voters. And when they go back to these town halls and are getting screamed out of the room, they're going to have to start listening. And the cherry on top for him was probably his polling. We all know he loves popularity. It took a fast dip with all that people are feeling right now. So kind of as those numbers all fell, I think he saw the end was near.
He lost
Well,
his
I
own
would
money,
say this.
too.
Look, if if they're saying that this was all strategic, then he is a sadist. Because what kind of government leader puts his people through this kind of distress and sadness and anxiety for a week just for just for giggles? I don't think
Good thing you
his
thought that.
supporters always say that it's that he plays fourth dimensional chess. I think he should be in a padded room playing with his own drool. Because I think he is, the things he does are just simply lunacy. And we're not out of this. We're not out of this by any means. Let's remember that as we sit here, there's 10% tariffs on everything. There's 125% tariff on China.
Yeah.
There's reciprocal tariffs from China. Let's not underestimate the result of on consumer confidence of the of the havoc he has wreaked for the last
Well, that's
11
part of the
weeks.
reason he's paused
We
this.
have
That's part of the reason.
antagonized our allies yet again, and to me, this is very much. This reminds me of what's happening with Doge as well, right? Where there's so many things that could be done with a scalpel. And that people would say, this is a good idea. But no, like with Doge, they go in there with a wrecking ball and, just having absolutely no second thought about the consequences. And we don't know that. Listen, the bottom line is I think people are hunkering down, not going to be spending as much.
Right.
Tourists aren't coming to America.
New business is not coming here either.
The things that we need for our major industries they have tariffs on. People, I think, are, have trauma from what we have endured these last 11 weeks. And this is not going away because he's putting a 90-day pause on it.
Well, a 90-day pause doesn't mean anything to anyone because people are, as you say, struggling with everything they're living with on a day-to-day basis. Now you know what we're fighting against. But I also believe that it's very important to remind people that now is the time for each and every one of us to suck it up and make sure that we know what we need to take care of. If you're in an area where the school district is losing, then you got to pay a little more taxes and you got to help the schools out. If you're finding that your libraries are falling apart, you have to give more. This is where we come in. We cannot depend on them. This is us. This is because we all thought, they're talking about somebody else. No, they've been talking about us the whole time. And when I say us, it's all of us.